Good evening. Health authorities have...
These vehicles may or may not have mechanical...
It will be a trial within a trial.
Louise Neimer at the Ontario...
The city does have a bylaw that requires...
May 29th, 1986. This is Toronto. Docs do it. Rabies Alert. And Chris turns them on. CityPulse with Gord Martin, Jeannie Petty, and the CityPulse news team bring you Toronto's View.
Good evening. Day one of the two-day doctor's strike. Thousands in Ontario shutting their offices. Cameraman Bill Barker caught some of the action today at Queen's Park.
Oh, yes. My doctor likes this letter. And
This morning, a group of us have decided to protest the government's intention to pass Bill 94 by having accessibility clinics in which we take the blood pressure of anyone who wishes to have their blood pressure taken. If they're interested, we discuss with them our opposition to the government's behavior.
You want the ability to sign a contract to get a certain amount of money and at the same time to make extra money.
So the money's either going into your pocket or it's going into the government's pocket to spend on the healthcare system.
The system is in a lot of trouble. There is no money.
I am a member of the medical profession. I am proud to be a member of the medical profession. I shall continue to be proud to be a member of the medical profession. If that's solidarity, that's what it is.
Yes, I do. I read you now.
Can you please look in the telephone book, the number for Doncaster Medical, and ask if the bedpans that we ordered are ready?
We can punish the doctors by withholding funds that are due to them from OHIP. That doesn't sound like Canada to me. It sounds like some country where democracy doesn't exist. So, viva los medicos.
That was earlier today at Queen's Park. Thalia Shuris is there right now with the CityPulse Live-By. Thalia?
Well, Gord, obviously there aren't any doctors here right now, although one just went by and handed me this pin. It says, stand up for your doctor. And according to the OMA and a survey it did, the strike is a success, even though no doctors went out in Huntsville and 75% were working in Hawkesbury. The OMA is pretty smug tonight.
I believe it would be a very conservative statement to say that 90% of elective surgery has been canceled in the province today. Of the offices in the province today, it would be conservative to say that 75% to 80% of them are closed, and in many areas we clearly run well over 90%, and in some areas even up to 100%.
I'm calling from Dr.
Cutting the line?
Office. Actually,
come in.
You didn't call us. I have a repeat for
Okay, good. The OMA estimates 25% of the doctors in Toronto remained at work. Dr. Fred Friedman is one of them, a member of the Medical Reform Group of Ontario. He spoke to us today, he said, as an independent physician. Dr. Friedman believes the OMA has led its members astray.
I think they've deliberately misinformed doctors that this issue is an issue of professional freedom, which I really think it isn't. And secondly, yes, I think they're using whatever goodwill physicians used to have in our society to make comment on the political system in a useless political action that most people in Ontario don't support.
The OMA believes today's action shows the government that the OMA leadership has complete support from its members. But what about a split?
It's difficult to gauge because it's a very tight-knit profession. A lot of people don't want to speak out. But there are a lot of people in the medical profession who feel that Medicare has been good to physicians as well as to patients, who feel that the OMA is taking a stand against an inevitable government action, and that we're using up whatever goodwill we had left with the public and with the government to fight a losing battle, and a battle that's morally unjust.
I don't know why anybody be afraid of us. We're a voluntary organization. We have never taken a sanction against any doctor in this province. We never will. They probably get the impression from that reform group of 150 so-called physicians that you people continually interview. And they always imply that the OMA threatens doctors. We don't threaten our fellow physicians.
With people being told to take their problems to emergency departments, you might expect those departments to be overflowing today, but that's not the case. Although North York General was bustling, the hospital insists this is not an unusual scene.
It's very busy, but it's like a normal busy day. It's not tremendously busier than usual.
Can you tell there's a strike going on?
I'd say no.
This is how it looked at all the other emergency departments we visited. No big lineups, no doctors being run off their feet, nobody keeling over in the waiting rooms.
Business as usual. Same volume as what we would have during a normal working day.
Well, the emergency department would seem to be very normal. One day fluctuates. We can have a high day, a low day, and not even have a strike affect that. Today would seem to be average.
So far, it's a regular day. If anything, it's a little on the slow side. We normally see about 100 to 110 patients in a 24-hour period between midnight and midnight. So far, in about 12 hours, we've seen 33.
It's been pretty well a normal day for us in the emergency department. Same number of patients, same case mix as well.
Dr. Rowett believes people aren't taking their every ache and pain to emerge because they figure that apartments will already be overcrowded.
And I think a great many of patients who perhaps would have seen their family doctor in their office today, they've just put that off until Monday.
While the doctors have walked out today, they haven't checked out completely. Most have ensured their patients will not be left up in the air.
Can I help you?
Doctors Emergency Service supplies emergency doctors only. The service is supporting the striking doctors, but will make house calls where absolutely necessary.
We're very, very selective on the calls that we're taking.
As for tomorrow, the hospitals say they don't expect things to change much, although there could be more emergency patients, as is usual for a Friday night. Terrell and Joe at the Wellesley Hospital for CityPulse.
Thalia, this was day one of the strike. Apparently, or at least we presume, the same sort of protest will be held again tomorrow at Queen's Park. Did they think they had any effect on the Peterson government?
Well, I think you're right that they will stay out. Most of these doctors will stay out tomorrow. I don't really think that they can admit they've had any effect on the government. I think the government will stay firm. So what we're looking at now is something that Dr. Meyer said earlier this afternoon, and that is that the doctors will really be looking at stronger action and probably an open-ended strike. He'll be recommending that to the OMA executive in a meeting on June the 9th.
All right, Thalia, thank you very much. A lot going on inside the legislature today as well. While the doctors were out of their offices, our political specialist Colin Bond was inside.
Only one word is needed to describe proceedings at Queen's Park today: unruly.
You can run, but you're not going to be able to hide on this issue. This is too fundamental an issue around this province.
We will work to put together an Ontario solution to ending extra billing.
That's right.
We made an offer to those people to discuss in a reasonable and rational manner.
Minister of Health, I want to say your yellow and cynical attempt to blame others for the strike you have on your hands because of the disgraceful treatment your government has afforded the OMA in the negotiations will not wash and won't be tolerated.
And this, Mr. Speaker, on a day when his very distinguished father is in our special visitors gallery. I know that Alan Grossman raised his son in a better tradition than what we've seen here today. We don't have to listen to that garbage.
Most of Grossman's bluster was reserved for purely technical matters. For instance, he threatened to deny supply, that is, the day-to-day money the government needs to pay wages and its bills, if the Liberals didn't immediately send over proposed amendments to the legislation that would put an end to extra billing by doctors. The government complied. Grossman drew more blood, including, sadly, some of his own, when he accused the government of having offered doctors during negotiations a form of extra billing as a way of settling disputes over the OHIP fee schedule, despite the government's constant claim that the principle of a ban on extra billing is inviolate. Health Minister Murray Elston was clearly uncomfortable with that line of questioning. All in all, though, Larry Grossman gives the impression of having to be on side with the doctors through circumstances, but at the same time, not wanting to be on side with the doctors so as to court public opinion. The classic rock and the classic hard place. Colin Bourne, Queen's Park, CityPulse.
In the meantime, estimates of the number of Ontario doctors taking part in the strike range anywhere from 50 to 90%. We conducted our own survey of Metro doctors. We called 257 offices. 149 had closed for the day. 102 doctors were working. 6 were out of town on other business.
Did you ever smoke?
No.
Also protesting against provincial health care policies today were employees of Toronto Western Hospital. The members of CUPE are against a proposed merger of Toronto Western and Toronto General Hospital, saying the move could cost some jobs. The picketers claim government policies are based on serving the interests of big corporations, not the patients or the hospital workers. 130 dental surgeons also closed their offices today in support of the OMA. On CityPulse tonight, Mary Garofalo will tell us that some dentists are fearful they could be the next target of regulation by the province and what steps they're taking. A rabies alert tonight in Scarborough. Animal control officers are trying to catch a pack of cats living in the Bluffs. Last Saturday, a cat that roams with the pack attacked several people, including a small boy. Jojo Chinto says people in the Guildwood community are being told to keep their pets indoors and report any animal acting strangely.
Were you scared of the cat?
No. Because he bit me in the bum.
He was bad, wasn't he? You bit you in the bum?
and he had to have 2 needles in the bum.
It was 3-year-old Eric Brockelman's encounter with a rabid cat Saturday that triggered the rabies alert in the South Scarborough community of Guildwood. In a wild frenzy, the cat attacked 6 other people in the Sylvan Avenue area around the same time Saturday. Little Eric was the 7th. All the victims are now receiving rabies shots.
What did Daddy do to the cat?
He killed him.
He was just playing outside with his father working on the fence, and the cat jumped out and got him.
So was one in here?
No, there's nothing there now.
How many cats are you looking for?
There's approximately 5 or 6. Yes.
And they travel in a pack?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of them, apparently the cat that bit the young boy came from that pack?
That's correct, yes.
Scarborough animal control officers have set traps in backyards just off the bluffs in an attempt to capture the rest of the pack to check and see if any of them has rabies.
They're all around in here. This is where the people have seen them, you know, 2, 3 of them at a time, a couple of black ones, there's a white one, black and whites. I think it's just one family, and they've just grown up running wild, that's all.
It's a real problem. Every time you come outside, you find them everywhere. In fact, after he was bit, I went out in the front. There was 2 black cats sitting in our yard, and we personally don't own any cats.
According to public health officials, the element of risk is still high as long as the cats are running around. They are hoping the publicity will help cut down the risk of further contact with the pack and other wildlife in the area. Jojo Chinto in South Scarborough for CityPulse.
Testimony resumed today at the trial of a Toronto doctor accused of sexually assaulting a 3.5-year-old girl. Lorne Honickman tells us today's witness may have been called in anticipation of the doctor's defense.
Normally at a criminal trial, it becomes immediately apparent why the Crown has called a certain witness. But sometimes, like today at the sexual assault trial of Dr. Abdullah Khan, one can only speculate. Dr. Alexander Jones has been a general practitioner for 19 years. He told the court that only in rare cases does a GP do sperm analysis in his or her office. The sample is usually sent to the lab. He testified if it was done in an office, that doctor would need a microscope. No such instrument was found in Dr. Abdullah Khan's office. He's charged with tricking a 3.5-year-old girl into performing a sex act on him in his office in March of 1985. Forensic evidence has shown there was a mixture of semen and saliva on the girl's shirt. Crown Attorney Fred Rowell. Is there any procedure done in a GP's office that could result in the quantity of sperm found on the child's shirt? Dr. Jones, I don't see any circumstances that would occur. Defense attorney Bob Carter suggested some scenarios to Dr. Jones, specifically whether or not sperm could have spilled onto the shirt from some container. Dr. Jones replied that in his experience, that scenario was highly unlikely to have occurred. Was Dr. Jones called as a witness because the Crown has anticipated what the defense will be? Time will tell. Crown Attorney Fred Rowell says he has one more witness to call, and the defense should open its case sometime early next week. Lorne Honickman at the courthouse, CityPulse.
Sentencing today for George Jr. McLeod, 6 years behind bars. Earlier this year, McLeod was convicted of forcing 2 girls into prostitution. In sentencing, County Court Judge Garth Moore recommended McLeod serve his time in protective custody and receive counseling while in jail. Metro Police believe they have stymied 2 criminal gang operations working in Toronto's Oriental community. Crime specialist Mark Daly says 28 arrests and 88 charges mean more than just numbers to police.
Organized crime in North America's Oriental communities is not new. The infiltration of Vietnamese criminals into the business is recent, and it's tough for police everywhere to get at. The charges in this investigation relate to prostitution offenses, drugs, guns, gambling, and extortion. Most of it happening in little out-of-the-way places in Chinatown, East and West.
We're somewhat confident that we have disrupted
their operation with the arrest of the people that I've reported. I'm not so naive to think that others aren't in a position to take over for them, but I would hope that the arrest of these people would be somewhat of a deterrent to them.
Wolf says they ran into their first Viet gangsters during a child prostitution probe last summer. With some Vietnamese citizens' help, since there are none on the police force, things grew.
We were very fortunate at the beginning of our investigation. One of the gangs that we looked at in particular was just at the early organization and development stages. And we were able to monitor their progress as they developed. And as I've said, we've arrested the gang leader and a number of members of that gang.
Another significant aspect in this case, police actually have a number of unnamed complainants in the Oriental community. Normally people here don't get involved with the police because back in China they didn't trust police officers, and of course they fear reprisals from these gangs.
To some degree it is, and I would hope it continues to change, that the Oriental community realizes that the Metropolitan Toronto Police Force, or for that matter any other police force in this province, is here willing to assist them if they are approached for extortions or what other criminal offense.
Mark Daly, Chinatown, CityPulse.
Here's an early look now at the Thursday night traffic scene, as well as this week's edition of Regional Crime Stoppers, as we check in live with our Chief Assignment Editor, Glenn Cole.
Thank you very much, Gordon. First of all, we'll check the traffic situation at this hour. We'll take a look with our Bell traffic cameras on the westbound Gardner, and we're just doing right fine. Actually, most of the afternoon has been pretty well this way. We've had no major problems except on the 401. On the other direction, with our other camera, we can see that the eastbound Gardner and northbound DVP is moving along nicely. So if you want to go out for a drive tonight, this is the time to do it. Time now for Regional Crime Stoppers, and tonight we're hunting for a hit-and-run driver.
Suspect is armed, extremely dangerous. Approach with caution.
Peel Regional Police and Crime Stoppers is seeking information on a suspect vehicle and its occupants wanted in connection with the deliberate failed-to-remain pedestrian accident that occurred in Mississauga. It happened at Cawthra Road in Bloor.
At 11:40 p.m. on Friday, February 14th, the victim left a school dance at the Applewood Secondary School. He walked westbound along Bloor Street East on the north side, heading for Cawthra Road.
Get in the car! Get in with this!
The suspect vehicle, which had been observed earlier at the school, proceeded westbound as well. The car contained 5 or 6 youths, and as they passed the victim, one shouted at him.
We're going to get you! We want you, boy!
A few minutes later, the same car was again seen westbound on Bloor, and the victim was crossing the street at Cawthra. The driver of the car aimed for the victim, driving at high speed, and then applying the brakes only at the last second. The car roared through the red light and fled the area. Suspect vehicle is described as a Chevrolet Cavalier or Pontiac Sunbird, hatchback style, brown or burgundy in color. Here's how you can help stop crime. Constable Richard Schock, Peel Regional Police.
In Peel, Crime Stoppers can pay you up to $1,000 for information leading to an arrest in this hit-and-run accident. Additional amounts of up to $1,000 will be paid for information that enables us to make an arrest in any other serious case. Remember, callers do not have to identify themselves or testify in court. If you have any information and are calling long distance, phone 1-800-387-8477. For local callers, phone 222-TIPS.
Thank you, Richard. And would you believe that there is even more heat in sight? With the details, live down to Queen Street, weather specialist David Onley.
Thanks very much, Glenn, and it is so true. Not only did we experience another hot pre-summer day today, we're going to be experiencing another one tomorrow. The good news is it appears that this overly hot trend will be coming to at least a brief end for the weekend as we return to more seasonable temperatures. Still very comfortable, though, in the low 20s or low 70s on the Fahrenheit scale. I'll be back later on with the complete forecast. Until then, Deanie, back to you.
Thank you, David. On Close Up tonight, another world first for Metro. Exploracom, a non-profit computer technology center, will be the first of its kind, and our science specialist David Onley has the details. Coming up a little later on Close Up.
Next on City Pulse at 6, running across the world to end hunger. It's been a year since Steve Fogno completed his cross-Canada run for cancer research. The marathon runner in Toronto today, touring the Variety Club. Tonight, Steve Fogno will be honored with the Variety International Humanitarian Award. Past winners include Prince Philip, Bob Hope, and Monty Hall. And hoping to get attention is Gaetan Belrose. The 43-year-old runner hopes to be the first to run around the world in an effort to end international hunger. As Jeff Ansell tells us tonight, Belrose is devoting the next 6 years to the run.
The run is not about running, really. It's about ending world hunger.
Something 43-year-old Gaetan Belrose cares so much about. He recently completed a 4-month, 1,250-kilometer run across Kenya, Tanzania, Zanzibar, and Cameroon. And this weekend kicks off his cross-Canada effort.
The run will be starting on Sunday and will be finishing in November. That will be to raise awareness and money for world hunger. Touching your sidewalk like that. So important.
The 7,200-kilometer run across Canada begins in St. John's, Newfoundland. Gaetan, a nutritionist most recently based in Hamilton, hopes to hit Toronto by September. And along the way, continue to pick up individual and corporate sponsors like Burns Fry to add to what's been raised already.
It would be at least $100,000. The whole run is supposed to raise $100 million. That is our ultimate goal in cash. What we really want to do is raise awareness.
With monies to go largely to grassroots projects, providing food, medical support, and reforestation.
For every 10 who starve, 90 others suffer from more subtle yet painful effects of hunger.
We got to make those people self-sufficient.
Running 30 to 40 kilometers daily without socks, Gaetan's journey takes him next to Asia, and in all hopes to cover 43,000 kilometers worldwide.
We do make a difference.
If you'd like to help, you can reach the World Run to End Hunger campaign at the First Canadian Place, 49th floor, Suite 5000, Toronto. With Gaetan Belrose, Jeff Ansell, City Pulse.
And another charity honored today at Metro, the United Way, is celebrating 30 years of community service across North America.
Happy 30th, happy 30th, happy 30th to you.
104 miniature flags on the cake represent the United Way's member agencies. Tomorrow, volunteers will be recognized with special awards. On the political scene tonight, support for the federal Liberals is up slightly. The latest Gallup poll gives the Liberal Party 41% of voters surveyed. That's 1 point higher than last month. Support for the Conservatives and the NDP remains unchanged at 37% and 21% respectively. The survey was taken earlier this month during the St. Stephen's affair. External Affairs Minister Joe Clark is urging caution in the fight against terrorism. He's advising NATO foreign ministers meeting in Halifax to work together. Clark also stresses the importance of arms control. The two-day conference wraps up tomorrow. The death toll from the Chernobyl disaster has now risen to 23. Doctors are treating victims, and they say 80 others are in extreme danger. It's believed as many as 1,000 people were injured in the nuclear accident, but Russian officials now say that figure refers to the number of people examined. The cost of moving ousted Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos causing some controversy. Altogether, Marcos spent over $800,000 moving to Hawaii. But it looks like most of the tab is being picked up by U.S. taxpayers.
The final tab is in, and even for the Pentagon, it's a big one. It cost the U.S. military more than $858,000 to help Ferdinand Marcos and party flee the Philippines and his toppled regime. The largest single expense, security, $407,000. Air transportation and operational costs, $244,000. But the item that drew howls from Capitol Hill, Marcos' personal expenses, $207,000. That includes $20,000 in long-distance telephone calls, $16,000 in meals, and a staggering $39,000 for 3 separate shopping sprees at base exchanges. That included $18,000 in clothing, $2,500 for shoes. Some in Congress think Marcos, who is said to be worth millions, can afford to pay it back.
These other expenditures, in my opinion, are ridiculous. To think that the American taxpayer has to pick up the cost of $20,000 worth of telephone calls.
If Marcos refuses to pay, it suggests to the U.S. sees some of the millions of dollars in assets he's said to hold in this country. Even if the U.S. doesn't collect a dime from Marcos, some government officials believe the expense was worth every penny to avoid bloodshed in the transition of power in the Philippines. Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, the Pentagon.
Close-up is next on CityPulse at 6 tonight. Understanding computers at Exploracom.
One hour.
Showcase for Canadian computer technology. As our science specialist David Onley tells us, Exploracom will give us a chance to better understand the use of computers.
Hi, welcome to Exploracom. Many people believe that if the province of Ontario is going to stay ahead in the worldwide high-tech race, it will be because of places like this, Exploracom.
What is Exploracom? The driving force behind it is Abe Schwartz.
It is essentially a place where the general public could come, become familiar with all sorts of technology by actually using it, learning all about the latest technologies, and where the entrepreneurs in the industry could come to get assistance so that they can be more competitive in the world. There's so many people out there who are still afraid of computer technology and they don't really understand its implications. And I think coming to Exploracom when it's open in November of 1987 and trying out the various technologies will make them feel comfortable with the technology.
The province of Ontario has extended a $17.5 million grant for Exploracom. Premier Peterson.
I think it's going to do a lot of things. Number one, I think it's going to increase everyone's awareness of the importance of technology in this complicated world. It'll be fun, and it's brilliantly designed. But number two, it's going to concern itself with the technology transfer. It's one thing to have technology. The other question is how you use it. In the long run, it means jobs, and it means this province will be more competitive, and I am just thrilled to see the imagination that's gone into this project.
Well-known futurist Don Toppin of Toronto 2000 sees Exploracom as an important beginning.
It's real evidence that the whole thing's evolving, it's emerging. We've been saying for some time that Toronto is on the brink of becoming the major communication center for the world. And the evidence is all around us here today.
David, did I miss it? Or did you say where this is going to be located?
It's at Harbourfront on the Queens Quay West, just west of Spadina. The building is absolutely huge. You were talking about over 100,000 square feet, so it's quite a complex.
David, will this be for people like me who understand nothing about computers, or is it designed, as he said, for the entrepreneurs, for business people to go in and see how it applies to their business?
Really from the ground up, Deanie, from people who know nothing about computers and just want to have a better understanding to people who are really in the business of making big bucks out of the computer industry. So it's right across the board.
It's for all of us.
It is indeed.
The weather is for all of us too, Mr. Onley. Am I going to like it?
Yes, you are, at least for tomorrow, which gives you an idea what lies beyond. Stay tuned, the weather is coming up.
I'm John Burgess, and coming up on entertainment, celluloid mayhem, thanks to Jake Speed.
Now, our CityPulse News test. Who is the latest person to attempt a cross-Canada run? If you know the answer, call us at 872-7770. The first two correct callers win a pair of tickets to Supercross, a City TV presentation.
Another beautiful view from the top of the tower of the Toronto Islands, the bellwether camera shot. Let's take a look at the sun times. For this morning, it was 5:41 as far as sunrise was concerned. Sunset this evening at 8:50. As we go to the record book now, let's take a look. Our high today was 31 degrees Celsius. That's 88 Fahrenheit. That's a full 10 Celsius degrees above normal, and really not that far from the record high of 34 set back in 1969. The overnight low, 15 degrees Celsius, a good 5 degrees Celsius above the seasonal norm of around 10, and the record low was right on the freezing mark set back in 1889. So the heat wave continues. Let's take a look at present conditions right now as we go to Queen's Park. The present temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. It's even warmer at the island. It's 30 degrees there. The wind is from the west-northwest at 24 kilometers an hour. The relative humidity is 44%, and it is so low there, as you can see. That's one of the reasons it doesn't feel as sticky as it usually does when Toronto gets into the grips of a heat wave in the summer. Pollution count sitting at 6, very low indeed. Anything below 32 is considered acceptable, and the barometer is falling from 101.3. As we go up to the map tonight, you'll see Toronto indicated by the star, and really there's not a great deal to report in terms of a change from yesterday's map. The low pressure area that was right there yesterday is just about still there today. We're not really concerned about that. We are concerned, however, about a low pressure area that is in the northern part of Alberta, which right now you just cannot see on that map. It could be giving us some showers late tomorrow night and into Saturday. Now that may be a problem for us, but the people in northern Ontario are actually praying for rain because there's 29 forest fires going on right now in northern Ontario. 5 of them are out of control, and the weather is a real problem there because it is just as hot and dry up there. In fact, the hot spot in the country today was in Kenora, so at 35 degrees. So it gives you an idea of the problem the firefighters are facing up there. 5 major fires out of control. Let's go to the Southern Ontario graphics, and really the story is just about the same as it's been for the last couple of nights, and that is mostly clear skies throughout all of Southern Ontario, just the odd cloud here and there. Now, by tomorrow noon, you can see on that map the cloud cover starting to work its way in. So what we're looking at is this. 5-day forecast starting with tomorrow, high of 28 degrees under partly sunny skies, of chance of showers and even thunderstorms Friday night. Now that will likely carry on at least till the first part of the day Saturday as we get back into cooler temperatures, a high of only 20 degrees on Saturday, much closer to the seasonal norm. And we're hoping really that those showers will get themselves out of the way by midday Saturday so that we'll at least be able to get some outdoor activity in the afternoon. As far as Sunday is concerned, well, of course, it starts to return to better weather as we get closer to the work week. Sunday, a high of 20 degrees and partly sunny. Monday and Tuesday, both days sunny and in the mid to low 20s. Let's do a recap right now and take a look at the skyline shot here. Our evening low, overnight that is, will be down to 15 degrees Celsius. That's 59 Fahrenheit. Wake-up temperature tomorrow morning of 19 degrees. And then during the day, we're going to be going up to a high of 28 degrees Celsius. That's 82 Fahrenheit. Now, last night, you may remember Greg Rist did a story on the Shell Fuel-a-thon. And Greg, I think he may be actually a good used car salesman because he chose the car that won. Now, that car, the Canadian Challenge 10 from the University of Saskatchewan, which Greg piloted, achieved a miles per gallon rate of, are you ready for this, 5,691 miles per gallon. Just imagine what they would have done with someone at the controls who knew what he was doing. Back to you, Deanie.
That's right. It would still be going, David, around the world. We now move on to entertainment with our graduate junior birdsman, fresh from his flight to Stratford. How was the flight?
Niagara-on-the-Lake, Shaw.
I'm sorry.
Festival. It was a very nice flight.
I had you going everywhere.
Yeah, exactly, well, which I am half the time. It was a very nice flight, and it was a very glitzy opening to the 25th anniversary season of the Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake last night.
There were a number of major dresses at the opening. Many Toronto, Ontario designers lent gowns to members of the acting company for the evening. There were politicians who have known defeat and those who have retired. The guest of honor, Governor General Jean Sauvé, arrived with Shaw Board President Alan Slate, and they were welcomed by Shaw producer Paul Reynolds. The cause of the festival spoke.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here at the opening of my festival's 25th anniversary season. Many of you did not expect to see me tonight, but I can tell you, you can't keep a good playwright down.
I cannot begin to say how happy I am to be here tonight at the opening of the Shaw Festival. Those of you who know a little bit about me know that I'm very attached to the theatre, having been a card-holding member of the equivalent of ACTRA in the province of Quebec. In my better days, I was a performer.
And just in time for the show, I rolled in with Ron Bryant, the president of Trillium Airways. Chris Christopherson hit the stage of the Diamond Club last night, and it was a great concert. The hot, shoulder-to-shoulder crowd loved it all. Chris is back on stage at the Diamond tonight, and some tickets are apparently still available.
That's what I am. If I look like a voodoo doll, that's what I am. If I look like a voodoo doll, that's what I am.
Back to the Future, Fright Night, and Lady Hawk all won big last night at the Saturn Awards presented by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. Back to the Future star Michael J. Fox got the Best Actor Award. The film also got Best Special Effects and Best Movie prizes. The Return of Billy Jack is returning. Shooting started on the movie here in Toronto and then was suspended in the face of money troubles. Shooting has now resumed in Los Angeles and Arizona. The Arts Against Apartheid Festival continues tonight with the presentation of The Blood Knot, a play by South African playwright Athol Fugard. It's the story of apartheid's brutal effects on a family.
We're slipping through the streets, passing homes and people on the pavement who are quite friendly and wave as we drive by. It's a fine, sunny sort of day. What are we doing? 24. You see that bus ahead of us? Chock-a-block with early morning workers. Shame. And what about those children over there going to school? Shame again on such a sunny day. What are we doing? 34. That means we're coming to open.
Jake Speed is a new action-adventure comedy opening in our town tomorrow. It's the age-old story of the girl sold to white slavers and her sister who comes to rescue her with the aid of some pulp novel heroes. John Hurt is the gloriously slimy villain.
Margie! Maureen! I want to go home.
I told you I could find her.
What have you done to my sister?
Relax, Toots. You and I should feel so good. Jake.
Sid.
You know my brother Maurice.
Hi. Maurice.
Mr. Speed. Oh, this is wonderful. A family reunion.
Sid, who is the arch-villain in the film, who you meet last of all, is described, I think, in the script as the slimiest thing to have crawled out from under any stone. So I had to start working on that, really. I've done rather a lot of very serious pieces, you know, from Elephant Man, well, really from Midnight Express through Elephant Man, 1984, Champions and things like that. And I was looking at, when the film critics are beginning to say John Hurt looked pained again, I thought now is the time to start looking for something a bit lighter.
Have you thought of going behind the camera to direct?
Not really, not seriously. I like to work very closely with the director if it's possible. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite way of working.
But you don't want to take over that chair.
But no, because I think it's a different talent.
Jake Speed, starring John Hurt, opens in Toronto tomorrow. And that's entertainment.
All right. Now tell us about the play Arms and the Man at Shaw.
Very good. It's early Shaw. It was written in 1894, first presented in 1894. It's his argument against war and all this fol-de-rol of soldiers. And I thought it was very well presented. The print people in town this morning rather took it apart for being broadened a bit. Leon Major has directed it a bit slapstick, people thought. I thought it was terrific.
You liked it. And how was the Governor General,
Madame Sauvé is in fine form and looked very healthy, said hello, and Maurice said hello and asked me to say hello to you.
Oh,
so, bonsoir, Jeannie, yes.
By the way, just one other thing, the film Lady Hawk, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you do have children, it's a fabulous film to get for your children. Yeah. Also for mom and dad. I mean, I couldn't leave the screen, but it's one of those.
The kids, the kids had to go get you food.
That's right, kids go get mommy some popcorn. We're standing by for sports up next with Jim McKinney.
If I had the opportunity to talk with Jimmy Williams, I would perhaps see if they could get their motion up a little more. It seems a few of the players seem to be dragging themselves around a little bit.
You need a new manager for the team. Billy Mark might be a good choice.
Change the pitching staff and get rid of Cottle.
A lot more sacrificing, a little more speed on the base paths.
I like to wish Jimmy Williams all the best luck, and it's Blue Jays all the way this year.
Sports is next with Howie. We won by that much last night.
Gord, the Jays are in a real pressure cooker here. 11 games back of the leaders in the American League East, coming home to meet a very disappointed following a loss last night in Minnesota. Would have made things very ugly. Jays up 1-0 in the third. Minnesota last night. Tony Fernandez is off and running. Reed's throw goes into center field. Fernandez heads for third. Puckett's throw. Gaetti can't make the play. Fernandez scores 2-0 Jays. In the fourth, Steve Lombardozzi takes Clancy to the seats in left. Cut the lead to 2-1. Jesse gets it back in the fifth. Off Blyleven. Jesse's 11th, 3-1 Jays. Bottom of the sixth. 3-all. A slumping Kirby Puckett gets his first hit in 13 trips. His 15th home run. 4-3 Jays. The seventh, tied at 4, 2 men on. Fake bunt. Fernandez slaps it to the gap in right, cashing 2, 6-4 Blue Jays. He struck for 8 in the 8th. Georgie Bell with a solo shot to start it off. 14-8 final. Clancy with the win at Steve tomorrow night versus the White Sox. The Argos' first exhibition game is June 11th in Hamilton. It should be a good test, especially for the rookies. And up to now, they're all looking good.
I think our rookie group are probably as good as any I've seen in all the years that I've been associated with training camps. Not only on the basis of their ability, but they're also a very workable group, very coachable group, and most of them are in excellent condition, which is another surprising factor this early in the season.
One guy in particular who's been getting rave reviews is former Kansas standout Willie Pless, who in 4 years of college ball averaged 19 tackles per game.
Well, that is all in the past now. You know, I cannot look back on that. I just have to, look what's ahead, and make the best of that opportunity. And hopefully I could do well on this team, make a positive contribution to it.
You're not the biggest guy in the world. How do you make so many tackles?
I think most of it is desire, and if you have the desire and determination to get to the ball, you're going to get there.
Another guy expected to get there is rookie defensive end Marlin Jones out of Central State University in Ohio. What's a strong part of Marlin Jones's game?
Well, basically the pass rush. They got me as a pass rush. That's my strongest point right now.
You like sacking people?
Oh, yeah. Quarterback.
Just my luck, the hottest day of the year, and I had to spend it on the golf course.
There it is.
Roll cameras.
A charity golf tournament for a worthy cause. As far as I'm concerned, there should be one every day of the week. How much is all this stuff?
Oh, it's free to the media, no problem.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. The Good Brothers Invitational is your perfect example. Finely tuned athletes teeing off for the Cancer Foundation. Of course, the event was fully catered. A bit of a hold up here, isn't there, boys? Oh, my God. Exactly.
Pit stop.
Oh, here come the congeniality girls. Isn't that lovely?
Hey, welcome.
They're great. Working.
Hey, all right.
Get a load of the celebrity list.
Another one right here.
This one's a piece of cake. Yeah. Ex-CFL great Soupy Campbell still has the touch. It'd only be fair to talk to one of the conveners. Bruce, have you been impressed with the caliber of play today?
It's been exciting, I'll tell you. Balls flying over everywhere.
Good turnout? Heads up.
Yeah, great turnout, yeah. More than we hoped for.
Yeah?
Wait a minute. What am I, Chop Liver? I'm a good brother, too. Here.
Meet Larry and George.
Hello. Hi, Dad.
Say hi to Dad.
How are you?
Party tonight?
Absolutely. Party all night long. Right on. Come on up, rolling. Please.
Party tonight is right.
Tell me how much luck was involved in that shot that we saw.
That was the first shot. I lined it up with the cameraman. I said, just watch this. No problem.
You were less than a foot from the pin.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back in a moment.
CityPulse news test answer. Zaitan Bello Rose is the latest person to attempt a cross-Canada run. Tonight's winners each receive a pair of tickets to Supercross, a City TV presentation.
Final word on the streets of Toronto from our chief assignment editor, Glenn.
Well, it's this. Do you need traffic's good? Drivers aren't. But if you're coming downtown, make sure that you have your headlights turned on so people can see you. Now, for what's on CityPulse tonight, here's Ann.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Mayor Garofalo was speaking to striking dental surgeons who fear their profession may become the provincial government's next target. As well this evening, the Imperial Six Cinema is shut down tonight. We'll find out why on CityPulse tonight at 10 o'clock. Now, with the final look at the weather, live down to Queen Street, and David Omni.
Thanks very much, Ann. Cool and clear tonight. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a high of 28 degrees. Deanie, back to you.
Tomorrow on City Line, a look at older women with younger men with Lynn Gordon and Peter McPhee. Tomorrow at 11, please join us.
That's City Pulse for tonight. Ann Roskowski and I have the next tonight at 10. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Good night.
1 hour from now, a beautiful Russian pilot becomes involved with an American flyer after she defects from the Soviet Union. John Wayne and Janet Leigh star in the classic drama Jet Pilot tonight at 8 on City TV's Great Movies. Right now, stay tuned for One Day at a Time. Next.